Young Contest Chair, fellow Toastmasters and welcome guests. As all the good ones do, my story starts in the southern suburbs of Johannesburg. It's a Sunday morning, and having just spent the last 3 hours washing and polishing their cars, Dad and Uncle Billy are enjoying a well-deserved beer. The sun is yet to pass the yard on, but hey, car detailing is thirsty work. Growing up in those circles, it went without saying that you would drive the same make of car that your father did. So while the little girl in me desperately wanted a Mini Clubman, my heritage dictated that I would drive an Opel Kadett. He was powder blue, and I called him Kevin. My friend Gavin had a red Mazda named Zavira, and on Saturday nights we'd race into Hillbrow to paint the town pink. But then one night, disaster struck. While I was out courting with my friend, somebody made off with Kevin. Later at the police station, I gave as much detail as possible, though I knew I'd gone too far when I mentioned the sticker on his back windscreen. A bunch of cars followed, but I'll tell you about just two today. There was Jimmy, bright yellow, jaunty, and you guessed it, an Opel Kadett. But while I inherited him from my dad, it wasn't me that named him. You see, it turns out my dad was something of a dark horse, because he too had a penchant for naming his cars, a fact he cunningly kept to himself for many years. Next was Joan, a particularly eye-catching pale blue beetle. Dad forgave me for breaking protocol, but only because Joan was what he called classic. To her credit, my partner Saskia never poked fun at the close relationships I had with my cars. But neither did she really get it. For her, a car was just a means to an end. I warned her though, I said, one day you'll understand. One day when you meet the one. She didn't believe me, and it took well over a decade. But that day finally came in 2012. We were 3 months into our year without a car experiment when we caved, as one does in a Cape Town winter. And we decided we needed to get a car. Not wanting to get into debt meant waiting until we could find something that our meager budget could accommodate. Our patience paid off, and one day while trawling Gumtree, we came across the little orange beetle. We persuaded the owner to bring it into town, and Saskia took it for a test drive. She had a roadworthy certificate and a sparkling personality. Clementine was clearly meant to be ours. At the time, we were living in a semi-dodgy block of flats above the Shell garage in Woolly Point. We had no off-street parking, which left us with just two choices. We could park Clemmy on the side street, or leave her in front of that busy 24-hour garage shop where the riffraff loitered. This posed a huge dilemma for my wife, because she knew Clemmy would be better off on the side street, but it also meant she couldn't see her from our lounge window. Eventually, love outweighed reason, and Clemmy stayed out in front, albeit off to one side where she was, at least for the most part, out of harm's way. We were under no illusions about Clemmy's age, and so we prepared for the inevitable by getting ourselves a premier AA membership. We soon had occasion to test this when one morning Clemmy wouldn't start. But all it took was a quick call to the men in yellow. We're on the road again. For the first time in the history of our relationship, I wasn't the one motivated to get the car cleaned. In fact, I didn't even see the point, since it was the middle of winter and herself was sleeping on the street anyway. Saskia was adamant. Clemmy had to get to the spa at least once a month. More if the budget allowed for it. Sadly, within a few months, Clemmy's age really started taking its toll. And before long, we were on first-name terms with the AA. I knew that relationship was on rocky ground when Saskia no longer went to the window in the mornings to check on Clemmy. But at that point, I thought to myself, just maybe, things might still be salvageable. But then, the incident. One Saturday morning, Saskia set out to go shopping and Clemmy broke down again. Only this time, it was on the highway, in the right-hand lane, in the pouring rain. To make matters even worse, the AA took an absolute age to get there, and when they finally did arrive, they couldn't figure out what was wrong with Clemmy. This meant waiting another hour, in the pouring rain, for the tow truck to take Clemmy through to the workshop. Only by now it's a Saturday, right, and already late, so when they get there, the workshop's closed. Poor Saskia's got no choice. She has to leave Clemmy parked on the street outside of the workshop for the rest of the weekend. Come Monday, the mechanic calls. He wants to know why Saskia left Clemmy there, because as far as he could tell, there's nothing wrong with her. He said that she'd started first time, and she'd driven just fine. He even had a tone in his voice, intimating that Saskia had most probably just flooded her. Later that afternoon, Saskia went to fetch Clemmy. Not only did that old tart start first time, she quickly settled into an idle so smooth it bordered on purring. When Saskia's text came through, short and to the point, it did absolutely nothing to belie how utterly flabbergasted she was feeling. It read, "She's behaving as if nothing happened." Well, within 2 weeks, we'd sold Clemmy. And let me tell you, that poor sucker that bought her, he didn't know what hit him. Clemmy saw him coming from a mile away.